Hey, another beautiful day in Western Pennsylvania. Just back from the beach, of course. And another episode of the David Toddcast. Thanks for being with me. You can follow me on Twitter at David M. Todd, here on YouTube, David Todd Sports. We keep talking about the other stuff about where you can find podcasts. Yeah, all right, here we are. It's been a big week, right? Trade deadline, Steelers coming off the bye, a lot going on, a lot to catch up to. I have to tell you, 6-2, Steelers sitting here taking on the Washington Commanders on Sunday, a 1 o'clock game for a change, so I'll get something to you hopefully by about 6:30 on Sunday afternoon. But my enthusiasm level and belief in what the Steelers are capable of at this point in the season, highest it's been since 2018. No question that this team is, look, we're going to find out everything here in the second half, right? But there's no question the way this team is structured, the way I think they are on both sides of the ball, special teams, everything. This is the deepest, most well-rounded team the Steelers have put out there in a pre-Ben injury. So let's talk about some things. Let's obviously talk about the events of Tuesday. And yeah, I'm talking about the trade deadline at 4 o'clock. And I think there's been a misconception here that, the trade deadline is a add things at the margin type of date in the NFL. See if you can improve your team. Certainly, look, some guys moved. We saw DeAndre Hopkins move to the Chiefs and had an immediate impact. Two catches on the Monday night game. The Chiefs beat the Bucs. We've seen Amari Cooper go to the Bills, and certainly with everything that's happened since the Steelers traded Deontay Johnson, there has been a glaring hole at the wide receiver in the room, and that hasn't been filled. And I realize that the expectations have been sky high. Anytime a Devontae Adams or a Brandon Ayuk is mentioned, everybody thinks the Steelers should get him. I think the more reasonable people understand that you can't, it's not walking into Walmart and picking up a receiver off the shelf, right? There are other teams competing to get guys, and the Steelers finally got a guy. And I think Mike Williams is an interesting name. Look, he's an older guy, 30, 31, whatever he is now, but he's a big guy. And I looked at his numbers historically. I've had a pretty good sense of Mike Williams and always thought he was a quality guy when he was playing with the Chargers. Mike Williams is second among guys active in the NFL in yards per reception at 15.5 over his career. That's 321 catches. That is a big number. That's, those are George Pickens numbers, but over, 10 years. Now look, no question Mike Williams is on the backside of his career, and he's coming off an ACL. So he's not the all-pro, Pro Bowl type receiver that he was. But he is a useful guy to add to this team. You've heard everybody talk about, Russ and the deep balls and the moon balls. And Mike, everybody, it's one of the things that hopefully I don't do on this podcast is just reiterate all the stuff you hear over the course of the week or, however often you hear from me. I like to bring you some different stuff, but obviously some of it is repetitive. The key for Mike Williams, and this week, 15 plays. That's what you're going to see. You can see he's not necessarily wasn't acquired to replace Van Jefferson. Mike Williams is going to be one of 4 guys getting regular snaps. I think in the last game the Steelers played, Scotty Miller had 11 snaps. Brandon Johnson had 5. That's 16 snaps. That's what Mike Williams is going to get now. He's going to cut in a little bit to other snaps, but largely the other guys are going to get similar numbers. He's going to take, I would expect, the peak number of snaps that he plays over the course of the 9 games remaining is probably 30 to 35 snaps. But that doesn't mean he's not going to get 5 targets a game. That's the important number, right? So Mike Williams comes in with an ability to be a contested catch guy, an ability to go deep and go deep over the middle. And then what that does is the big beneficiaries of this are obviously Pat Freiermuth, big beneficiary of opening the middle of the field. Najee's going to benefit of this. The Steelers screen game and wheel route game, that should all benefit because you're going to see I would think you'll see more too high safety looks against the Steelers than you've seen in the past. Okay, Van Jefferson's not a deep threat. Calvin Austin is a little bit of a deep threat out of the slot, but a little bit tougher. Calvin Austin is not even though physically he's your prototypical slot guy, he's not your typical slot receiver. So I like the Mike Williams addition. I liked what the Steelers did on trade deadline day, but this wasn't remake your football team. This isn't draft day. This isn't the third day of free agency when you look at the 5 guys they got. Now, like everybody else, I assume the Steelers were done. And the addition of Preston Smith, who I'm guessing most people didn't know much about if they'd even heard of him, was a surprise to me because, first of all, Green Bay is 6-3. What are they doing trading a guy who has started all 9 games? Well, the story comes out, of course, that Preston Smith asked for a trade. And kind of interesting in the course of the Packers, sorry, we had a little technical difficulty there. One of the issues with Preston Smith is the Packers have gone from a 3-4 team to a 4-3 team. They've got some young guys they want to get on the field. But he went in and asked for a trade because he didn't feel as he was being utilized in the system the way that was best utilization of his skills. Interesting thing to do when you're on a winning team. But all accounts, a really good locker room guy, a guy who has said all the appropriate things in his brief couple days in Pittsburgh. And, hey, a guy who adds some depth to a position where the Steelers have the 3 guys that they've been rotating that you know the names of. 2 of them have been hurt. TJ's been hurt in the past on occasion. So having a 4th guy that was supposed to be Marcus Golden at the end of the season gives the Steelers another depth guy, another quality player. Again, think about the snaps that you're going to get. Preston Smith's going to get 20 to 25 snaps a game. Now, I don't know if he'll get that this week. I do think Mike Williams will get 15 snaps this week. I do think Preston Smith will dress this week because I'll get to Nick Herbig. I don't think Herbig will dress. But so look for that this week, 20 snaps and, over the course of the rest of the season, 20, 25 snap type of guy. So 2 very good additions where the Steelers, lacked depth. So a plus day for Omar and the Steelers in what they did. Now, just one more thing about Mike Williams. I want to talk about this because I mentioned on Twitter, on X, what I expected from Mike Williams for the rest of the season. And roughly the numbers are, with 9 games left, 30 catches. So you got to think about this in the ratios of games left. And so 30 catches is 3.5 catches a game. There are only so many guys to throw balls to, and they all want the ball. I mean, you got George, you got Pat, who everybody says is criminally underused, but, you've got 2 guys who have had bigger roles the past 2 weeks in Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson. And if all of those guys, that's 4 guys getting 3 catches, let's say George gets 6 catches, well, you're up to 15 catches. If the backs get a couple and you have Washington get 1 or 2, all of a sudden, they're only going to have 20, 22 completions a game on an ideal day. There are only so many catches out there. But let's give Mike Williams 30 catches the rest of the season. If you give him 15 yards a catch that a career historically has averaged, that gets you to obviously 450. So let's give him 425 and 3 TDs. So those are the numbers. When we look at this at the end of the season, say if Mike Williams gives you 30 catches, 425 yards, and 3 TDs, that's a really good addition. And by the way, they give up chump for all this stuff. I mean, just back-end draft picks. People way overvalue picks in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Doesn't mean guys don't come from there, but if you can get a quality player that helps you right now for that, all day, every day. So there's your numbers for Mike Williams. That's what I'm going to look at the end of the season. Hold me to this. We'll come back to it. 9 games, 30 catches, 425, 3 TDs. That would be great. All right. So we covered Smith. All right, next topic. Put in a commercial. I have great sponsors. Please buy their products. Next topic is in the bye week, I talked about 3 players the Steelers could sign in the offseason. You know how they are. This was a thought exercise. That was obviously a difficult concept for some people to understand, that a thought exercise means, hey, I'm just asking your thoughts. It doesn't mean it's going to happen right now. Omar and I aren't chatting about it. The players aren't chatting about it. We're not doing all that stuff. Thought exercise. Here were the 3 contracts I put out there. By the way, I would do all 3 of these deals, which is why I put it out there. Okay. First, Russ, $100 million over 3 years with $60 million guaranteed. Absolutely shocked that everybody didn't go, well, I would do that in a heartbeat. It's 2 games. We're going to have a lot more info at the end of the season. Thought exercise. We only have this much data, okay? This is like if you run a business and you do some modeling, you do game theory stuff. Game theory. Would you do this deal at this point in time? I would do this deal. Russ's age is I think the most misunderstood thing by Steeler fans, that at 35, Kirk Cousins is older than Russ. He just signed a 4-year, $180 million deal. He's coming off a torn ACL, torn Achilles. Russ, did you see him move around these 2 games? He's fine. And he's getting back in the swing of things. 3 years, $100 million. You can do the math, right? $60 million guaranteed. That's a below market rate for a good NFL quarterback. Now, you've heard me talk about this. There is a massive market inefficiency where now guys are all making, the good quarterbacks are making $45 to $60 million a year, and the backup or bad quarterbacks are making $15, $10, $8 million, $5 million a year. This middle area, that's where a bunch of teams should try to live. Should try to live in this $20 to $35, $40 million area and find capable quarterbacks. That's where the money that Sam Darnold's going to get in this offseason. This is the money the Steelers should give to Russ. Now, if Russ plays great the rest of the season, $33 million on an AAV is going to look like the biggest bargain in the world. So I'm pretty sure the number isn't going to come in at $100 million in 3 years or 60 guaranteed. But for all of you out there saying, well, you don't want Russ at those numbers, based on what we've seen in these 2 games, got to say you're wrong on this. You are wrong. This would be a do this in a heartbeat deal. Okay, the other one. Next deal. Najee. Now, I bumped this up from what I said on Twitter. The new deal is $16 million over 2 years with $12 million guaranteed. Okay, the NFL pendulum has swung dramatically too far in the idea that all running backs are completely fungible, and you never draft or pay a running back. Never give him a second contract. Never use a high draft pick for a running back. Okay, let's get it. That was a good thought in taking the pendulum from here, where they were overpaying, $12 million a year at the back end of Adrian Peterson's career, that kind of thing, and taking guys at the 4th pick in the draft. Probably not a huge value choice there. But now we're over here where it's anybody can be your running back, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Not everybody's going to be Derrick Henry. And we saw when the NFL this offseason, there weren't a lot of suitors for Derrick Henry. Let me tell you, every team in the league would like to have Derrick Henry right now. Oh my God, the guy is a beast. And we've seen other backs. I mean, even the argument about Bijan Robinson, that he was drafted too high, maybe second, third best back in the league when he's healthy right now for the Falcons. So we've gone kind of, the pendulum has swung. Hopefully it's swinging back to the middle. Now the Steelers, in hindsight, should they have picked up Najee's option in the offseason? As we sit here today, imperfect information, making the decision. What we know right now, the Steelers should have picked up his option. That was a mistake. They would love to have him next year, whatever the number is, $5, $6 million. Would love to have him. Najee, 3 straight 100-yard games. Nobody's ever questioned Najee's toughness. Another guy, good in the locker room, tough as hell, runs hard, and has shown an ability to have some longer runs this year. Now, again, when you're able to do that, the question is always the offensive line. Who is one helping the other? Is one primarily responsible? The answer obviously is, it's a combination of the two. But Najee hitting some big runs, doing some good stuff. Clearly, you'd like to have him. The number of $16 million for 2 years, so $8 million a year at AAV with $12 million guaranteed. Again, I would do the deal. Now, this is probably the top end. I don't think Najee's going to see $10 million a year in the open market. So maybe the Steelers and Omar cost themselves a little bit of money by not exercising the option on Najee. Also, Najee might not want to sign only a 2-year deal at this point in his career. Might look for more length. So would the Steelers, would you go, rather than 16 for 2, would you go 21 for 3 or 20 for 3? These are the things that will happen in the offseason. Again, 16 for 2, I'm doing it right now. I'm not sure Najee does it. The last one, and this is one where the fans were, the X community was fully in favor of the Najee deal at 15 for 2. And I'm a little bit surprised they were fully in favor of $20 million over 2 years with $12 guaranteed for Justin Fields. Some crazy people think he's going to get a lot more than that. The answer is he's probably going to get less than that if he doesn't play again this year. And I'm going to segue this into Jaden Daniels a little bit. Here's the thing to understand about Justin Fields. I'm a Justin Fields fan. I think the Steelers should sign Justin Fields and Russell Wilson this offseason, and obviously Justin Fields be the backup. We've seen Justin Fields play 50 NFL games. You know who we've seen play 9 NFL games? Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a much better quarterback, a similar type of quarterback in terms of athletic, can run, but him throwing the football compared to Justin Fields, it is a different, it's night and day, man. I'm telling you. And the guy's a rookie. Now, he had a ton of college experience, but he's a rookie. And when you think about where Justin Fields is in his career, you know, I'm happy to talk about upside because he's still a really young guy at 25. I think that's maybe not as widely known as I would have thought it was. But when you think about upside for Jaden Daniels and Justin Fields has now played enough where maybe that upside isn't there. Not that they're a late bloomer. So you just, Geno Smith, the ultimate late bloomer in Seattle. And it doesn't mean Justin Fields can't be a really good NFL quarterback. And I'd keep him around. But the idea that Justin Fields is going to have a ton of suitors this offseason at numbers above $10 million a year, I don't see it. Bring him in to compete to start like Sam Darnold was when in Minnesota. That was J.J. McCarthy who was going to be the starter, their first-round pick. He got hurt, Sam Darnold's job. He's taking advantage of it fully. Don't see Justin Fields getting more than that. So 2-10, 12 guaranteed, I'm doing it. Okay, let's get to the game Sunday. By the way, tonight, big game. Bengals-Ravens, super interesting game. Ravens, best offense in the NFL. Joe Burrow playing quarterback as well as anybody except Lamar Jackson, who's having another MVP season. Take the over 52. Super fun to watch. Here's another little question for you. I wonder how much benefit the Steelers have had playing these night games, getting a chance to kind of see the players, now I'm talking about, see the teams they're going to play the following week. I wonder if some of them don't even watch the game, rest assured. And they watch enough tape that it probably doesn't make any difference. But I wonder if having the opportunity to watch other teams play helps at all. I'm sure the Steelers will be in front of the television for these two teams who they will play twice each the rest of the season. Okay, game, coming back, health. Told you 10 days ago, big comeback from the IR, the injured list, the IR, whatever we're calling it now. Zach Frazier, second-round pick, West Virginia, taking over at starting center. Props to McCollum, filling in more than admirably with a new quarterback. The Steelers going 2-0. Ryan McCollum, big hat tip. Nice job. And Zach Frazier's back. That's great. Cordero Patterson in the return game, which, by the way, on the kick return game, we haven't seen a lot from the Steelers in there. But and in the running back, maybe less in the wide receiver game now that Mike Williams is there. So good to have Cordero Patterson back. And we find finally Jaylen Warren a little bit better the past couple times out, but Steelers run game starting to come around, offensive line starting to come around. See if they get that going Sunday against the Redskins, Commanders. Tyler Matakevich, special teams guy, okay, and then Cam Sutton. Very interesting to see Cam Sutton back now after his 8-game suspension. Obviously, the issues that he had, the Lions released him in the offseason. Steelers decided he was worth bringing back. They know who he is. They're comfortable with it. 8 games, here he goes. Here's Steeler DC, Terrell Austin on corner, Beanie Bishop, who's basically playing the slot corner, and whether he's done enough to secure his spot. This is Terrell Austin's comment on Thursday at practice. We like where Beanie is. Beanie still has to continue to write his story. That's like a Mike Tomlin quote. We're halfway through his rookie season. I'm not going to hand Beanie the keys to the car and say he's arrived. You hang around Mike Tomlin enough, you start to talk like Mike Tomlin. Great line from Terrell Austin. Beanie Bishop's going to lose some playing time. And Cam Sutton is not going to come in and play 60 snaps or 80% of the snaps on defense this week. Again, 20 snaps. Let's put the over-under for him. I put it Mike Williams, 15. Preston Smith, 15 to 20, assuming Herbig isn't dressed. And I would say Cam Sutton, same thing, 15 to 20 snaps. working his way back. He is an addition to, I think, what has been a surprisingly good, but still not a strength on the Steelers defense in their secondary. So big week to get all these guys back and go into the second half of the season relatively healthy. Okay, one other point here. I've talked about Terrell Austin. I've mentioned this a couple times this year, but I want to give you the statistics to enforce this. The Steelers give both Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin huge props for what they've done, halftime adjustments and second half numbers. How about this? We know the Steelers haven't scored points until the last 3 weeks. In the last 3 weeks, holy crap, they're scoring points like crazy. Steelers points scored in the second half of games on the season in its entirety, which includes the first 5 games where they didn't score any points, except for that Colts game where they put up a bunch in the second half. Bills 15.4 first, Ravens 15.2 second, Steelers 15.1 third in the NFL in second half points. Nice job by Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, and the rest of the crew. And most importantly, the guys on the field, as always. Fewest points allowed in the second half of the game. Now, on the other side, defensive side of the ball. First, Steelers, 5.6 points, 3 second half shutouts in 8 games. Damn. Not averaging less than a touchdown. 5.6. Broncos second, 7.2. Bills, 7.2. Bills and Steelers, top 3 on both. That's some props to the coordinators, Mike Tomlin. Guys executing really good stuff. See if we get more of that. Okay, quick preview of this game. Strength on strength. Commanders, DVOA is a metric that I like. It's a weighted valuation of each team, their offense, defense, and special teams. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, Google it. I'm not going to explain it to you here, but just trust the general concept of what's going on. The Commanders are the 7th best team in the NFL by DVOA. The Steelers are 10th. On offense, it's strength on strength. On offense, the Commanders are 2nd in the NFL. Man, 2nd. If you watch them play, they're fun as hell to watch. They're 2nd in the NFL. The Steelers are 8th on defense, strength on strength. The flip side, weakness on weakness, if you will, the other side of the ball, the Commanders are 26th on D. The Steelers are 20th on offense, but climbing rapidly. Both very good special teams. Commanders 7th, Steelers 3rd. So that makes it really interesting. Look, this Jaden Daniels, 7-1-1 if you're a betting guy. 7-1-1 against the spread in 9 starts. 5-0 straight up against the spread as a favorite. He's 5-0 as a favorite, and as you know, the Commanders are favored in this game by 3. Vegas is still not buying the Steelers being the real deal, and they're not going to be favorites in a lot of these games in the second half of the season, unless there is a changing attitude about what they can do offensively. Rookie quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. Mike Tomlin, 26-6, including the postseason against rookie QBs, but only 2-2 in his last 4, and got torched by C.J. Stroud last year. Also lost a DTR in Cleveland. That was a brutal loss. Jaden Daniels is going to be Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's not going to be MVP. The 2 guys you see tonight, Joe Burrow is a dark horse MVP candidate. He's playing so well offensively. Now, with the Bengals 3-6, they have to win like 8 in a row for him to be in a conversation. Right now, it's Lamar Jackson. It's Josh Allen in my book. It's really not anybody else. That'll change. Yeah, Steelers win 8 in a row. Russ will be in the conversation too, along with Joe Burrow. But this will be a fun game. Terry McLaurin is a All-Pro level receiver, so the Steelers are going to have their hands full. Obviously Jaden Daniels can run as well. The Redskins will. Sorry, I'm going to do this a few more times and probably do it on Sunday night. The Commanders can use the middle of the field. They do a lot of things well offensively. And they have, I would say a group of talented players, but really McLaurin's the star and the quarterback's the star. Defensively, they're just a bunch of guys defensively. And I am, as I say, so excited. I'm really tired of patting myself on the back, but so right about Russ. And I want to be right again this week, because if the Steelers win this game and get to 7-2, then the playoffs, I think you can lock it up. The AFC is down to 9 teams already for 7 spots. You got the Broncos and the Chargers and the Colts, if you think so. There's just not that many good teams. The Bengals are going to make the playoffs. The Steelers win this game, they're 7-2, and then it's a question of the division, right? Let's say they go 3-3 in the division, which I think is a reasonable assumption. That gets you to 10, and then you got the Eagles and you got the Chiefs game. So look, I mean, outside shot of winning 12 games, outside shot of winning 9 games, win this game, lock up the playoffs. That's my thought. Now, that's it. Let's wrap this up. Gonna get back to the beach. I do think the Steelers win this game, man. I think they're going to put up 28 plus. They're going to win. I'm worried about. I'm going to enjoy watching this. I do not want to see Jaden Daniels go to town on the Steelers defense. But the idea that the Steelers are going to hold them to 14 or less, I don't think happens this week. If I were going to pick one game aside from, I don't think the Steelers will give up more than 20 points in a game more than 3 times the rest of the way. They play the Ravens twice. That's the top offense in the NFL. They play the Eagles. Obviously, their offense is much better of late. That's 3 games. They play the Chiefs. Their offense not as good as it's been, but it's pat, right? That's 4 games. And they get this game. And then they get the Bengals, who score 1 million points. They play a bunch of good offenses the rest of the way. Let's say only 3 games, they give up 20 or more points. I'm going to put the Commanders right on that number, 20. But I'm going to say the Steelers score 28 or more. They win, they cover, they get to 7-2, and then, we'll have a fun time Sunday night. So, David Toddcast, thanks for being with me. Enjoy. Talk to you soon.